USC benefits from a massive loophole in the House settlement. And this loophole is described as, quote, location of NIL deals may come into play for determining if value is fair. This is the whole NIL go, NIL rules in the House settlement. So USC NIL deals would be compared to other marketing deals in Los Angeles. This also goes for, let's say, Texas NIL deals for Austin, Miami NIL deals for Miami, Ohio State NIL deals compared to Columbus, Michigan NIL deals compared to Ann Arbor, maybe Detroit, Northwestern, hypothetically Chicago, Georgia, Athens, maybe Atlanta, because they're pretty close to Atlanta. And you can see the point here that I'm trying to make. Los Angeles is, I think, the biggest city. I think it's the largest in America. I'm going to fact check myself on that right now, actually. But it's one of the wealthiest and one of the biggest for sure. And I think that with how Chad Bowen and Lincoln Riley are currently going about their operation in recruiting, they're not afraid to take large chunks of a certain class and bring them to USC like we're seeing with the 2026 class. And I imagine they won't always have classes that are this big, and they'll have some smaller classes that are more like Oregon's last cycle, where they're extremely high, extremely potent in quality. Okay, it looks like New York is still the largest, but Los Angeles is very close. And I imagine if you include the surrounding suburbs and surrounding cities that are a part of the Los Angeles metro, that it's one of the largest cities in the world. I know that for sure. So, just a little side note there. USC benefits from this massive loophole in the new NIL rules, and that loophole is if you are in a big city with a lot of businesses, plenty of wealth, industry, and you have a large donor base that is close to home or around the world, or that has operations that are close to your university, well, you have the ultimate combination. I just talked about in a separate video how if you own a large corporation like Nike, for example, and you have the money and you have the reach to do deals with multiple schools, well, you basically won't be, I guess the term is fact-checked for whether or not your NIL deal is worth what NIL Go thinks, because you're not only donating to a specific school, you're doing this with everyone, hypothetically. And this loophole here says location of NIL deal may come into play for determining if value is fair. Los Angeles marketing deals are some of the best, and clearly because of the standard of living in California and their tax rules and more complicated things that I'm not going to talk about because I don't know too much about them. But California is known to be expensive. Their NIL deals consequentially are going to have to be larger in value to somewhat compensate for that. Same with taxes and other things. And they have a lot of wealthy, ultra wealthy alumni. I talked about that in another video of mine, link in the top right corner of the screen when this is made into a segment. Links in the top right corner of the screen. And I think that combining ultra wealthy alumni with the fact that if you are a corporation or business that does NIL deals, and as long as you spread them out, you're not going to be investigated. And as long as your deals are viewed as fair market value, and fair market value is whatever the market value is in Los Angeles, that's you know what that is? That's essentially printing money with little to no consequences. Essentially. Of course, that's not a perfect analogy, but the point I'm trying to make here, and before we continue, please subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment your thoughts on this down below. Tell me if you're a USC fan, if you think this is correct, or if you're not a USC fan, still contribute. I'd love to hear you. And we need more USC fans on College Football with Sam. So if you're a USC fan and you're not subscribed, please do so and like the video to get us in the algorithm and join our Discord server via the link in the description. But something like that loophole, what it does is it disproportionately benefits USC. It could disproportionately benefit a school like Northwestern because they're in Chicago. Rutgers, if they were able to tap into the New York City market. I am thinking of, for example, Georgia with maybe Atlanta, Miami for sure with Miami, Texas with Austin and a lot of the surrounding Texas cities. Texas is a booming state, huge population. I think of Ohio State with Columbus and the fact that Ohio isn't a huge state, so I imagine they could maybe try and tap into some of the market value in surrounding cities like Cleveland or Cincinnati. Don't know if that's reaching too far out or not. And I could go on and on. I mean, Washington with Seattle, Michigan with Ann Arbor, and then Detroit because Detroit's pretty close to Ann Arbor. What this loophole, and it's the same with the other loopholes too, where if your donor is a corporation and they're donating and making deals with different players in different schools, they won't necessarily get checked. Those loopholes just benefit the rich. And USC is a member of the rich. They are the blue blood class of college football. They always have been. They're a top 10 program, and I would argue top 5 historically. USC, I will declare it here as sort of a way too early thing with these rules that benefit them, with how their recruiting is on fire, and with the staff that they have, and with Lincoln Riley, who when he has NFL talent, and when he has a good staff, hasn't always had a good one, but has at times, and right now I think he does, he reaches playoff games. He hasn't won a playoff game, but I imagine his late 2010s, bless me, Oklahoma teams would have won playoff games if there was the 12-team playoff format. Certainly so. Maybe because of the different formatting, the 2017 team would have won a national title at Oklahoma, for example. So they're a benefactor, a massive benefactor. I think they're the biggest benefactor, actually, of these new NIL rules. And overall, I don't think these rules hold much weight because of the fact that there's no collective bargaining agreement. And I imagine, there's obviously still under the table stuff. And I've already told you about some of the loopholes. But for a program like USC, who doesn't really have to think about any potential consequences because of these loopholes, and they have a lot of super wealthy alumni, so you're not just hitting the fact that you're in LA and your marketing deals are compared to LA marketing deals. You're also hitting on the standpoint that they have thousands of alumni who have a net worth of $30 million or more. And I imagine several of those are billionaires. And USC is a football school. This is not like UCLA, who also has a lot of super wealthy alumni, or Northwestern, or the Ivy Leagues. This is USC, a private institution that churns out geniuses and millionaires and billionaires that has a rich football tradition. Miami is similar. They have both the donor class and the city. And I could imagine some other Big Ten schools do. Oregon is the donors, not the city. Michigan and Ohio State, especially Ohio State, I think have the city, but Michigan still is Detroit, and both have the donors too. And I could go on and on and on, but I think USC outdoes everyone else there. This text that I read to you earlier about, the specific loopholes from a trusted friend of mine, I read this in the House settlement as well. Didn't think about it in that way initially, but then I thought about it some more after reading his text, and I thought, yeah, I think this is a loophole. So maybe it's not, and maybe I'm mistaken here, but I think USC has a distinct advantage with these rules. And then I would say moving forward, if you were to average the loopholes that I know of together, I think your current top 5 recruiting programs in the future are USC at 1, Texas trailing close behind them. Then you have a gap, and you got Miami, Oregon, and Ohio State. Like factoring in donors, factoring in the market that people will be comparing, the people who matter, if they matter at all, will be comparing your NIL deal to make sure that it's fair. Again, don't exactly know how effective even that'll be. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter at all, but looking at these new rules, USC is a massive opportunity here. And USC right now, I mean, no wonder they have 30 commits, and no wonder they were able to easily get Mark Bowman and easily get Luke Waffle over the likes of Texas, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, for example. No wonder they've been able to retain Kini Pepe out of Florida, a highly coveted offensive tackle who's the second best at his position for 24/7 Sports. Just no wonder. And I imagine they'll get several more highly touted commits too. And you look at their 2027 class, and they don't have any commits right now, but I imagine that class is going to be certainly top 5 in quality. I don't know how many players they will bring in, but they're just signing guys left and right and left and right. And it helps USC twofold. You're not just building up your roster and massively upgrading. You are taking away players that would have gone previously to Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State 5 years ago, and that just a year ago would have gone to Oregon and Texas as well as those other 3 programs. And now they are going to LA. That's where they're going. Not that any of those other 5 programs are struggling to recruit, by the way. I mean, Ohio State's going to finish with a top 4 class. Georgia will as well, I imagine. Miami and Oregon, I think, will finish with quality classes. Miami's is already top 10. Oregon's is the best in America right now, even though it's small. It's the best in terms of average rank per recruit. And then Alabama's is up there as well. It's not that they're struggling, and they're not going to struggle. It's the fact that USC has gotten to a point where they maybe could even leapfrog those programs in recruiting due to some of these new rules and the fact that they have alignment. Their donors are engaged. Their staff on the field, off the field, athletic department is aligned. USC benefits, and I think they are going to be a huge winner in the future of college football, not just in terms of reaching the national championship, possibly, but I think in terms of possibly even winning it, and Riley may be winning his first. I think they're certainly a college football playoff contender from here on out, and I also believe that they are eventually going to be a Big Ten title contender too. National championships, I think, will take a while to reach USC because I know their roster isn't where they want it to be to win titles, and I don't think it will be that way for at least 2 more seasons. So you're probably looking at 2027 or after that. But this class is massive. The recruiting juice they have is huge. The fact they were able to retain DeAnton Lynn when Penn State went after him before Knowles became available, that was big. The strength and conditioning coach, hiring and firing. I just love it all. I love where USC is heading. I don't think this is like last cycle's class, and I don't think the hype is fake. I don't think so at all. Thank you so much for watching this segment. Make sure to leave a like, leave a comment, leave a subscription, and I thank you once again for watching.